Hey everybody, and welcome to the Daily Dose. Now, a life of faith is easy to practice on Sunday when we are gathered in church or hunkered down with a couple of our family members or friends. Or maybe it's that we're going to Calvary at the lake and we get to hear the awesome worship band and we get a good solid message. But when it comes to having faith during the rest of the week, let's be honest, it's kind of hard. Sometimes it just goes straight out the window because we're back drowning in expectations from work or school or our kids or our partners or our families. We're back to the daily grind, into the busy schedule that just seems to overwhelm us. So this week on the Daily Dose, we're asking the question, how can we practice a weekday faith? So today we're going to look at the question, how do I practice my faith at work? And I'm going to be honest with you today. Besides ministry, and I've been in ministry for 20 years, I've only really had two other full-time jobs since college. One was that I sold flooring at Eckert's Carpet Gallery, and the other was that I did a job. I was a social worker for the Young Women's Resource Center, and I led a group for at-risk teenage girls. And I think it's one of the reasons that I ended up in ministry at such a young age is because I found myself struggling to figure out how to talk about faith at work. Back when I was selling flooring, I was talking to people about, what kind of the carpet choices that they might want to have, but the chance to sit there and talk to them about Jesus just never seemed to really come up. But it did actually come up with my coworkers, and I think that that's really kind of fascinating. And I was young. I was about 21 years old when I was doing this job, and people knew that I was religious because I kind of talked a little bit about my religious faith all the time. And so they would sometimes ask questions of me because we had built a relationship, me and my coworkers. And then we would just sort of talk about things during our downtime, what we believed in or what we struggled with believing in. And then when I worked at the Young Women's Resource Center, I really struggled there with not being able to talk about my faith openly. The policy was that I couldn't talk about it unless it came up with one of the girls that were in my group. The girls in my program were all court mandated to be at the Young Women's Resource Center because one or both of their parents were incarcerated. And when I saw these girls and I heard their stories and their experiences at 13, 14 years old, I felt the sadness that just encompassed them. And I couldn't help but see how desperate they were for unconditional love and acceptance. The same unconditional love and acceptance that I myself found in my relationship with Jesus. And I know that not all churches operate like that, but I wanted them to feel that they would have this love and acceptance beyond just their time in our group. You see, I could only give them this for a couple of hours a week, and it was discouraging for me to kind of have to put my faith aside unless they opened up the topic. And it was actually this kind of work that opened me up to a call to ministry because I knew I just couldn't not talk about it. Friends, talking about faith at work can be really hard, especially if it's discouraged in your environment. But here's the thing I want you to consider. When talking about faith at work, it can sometimes in some situations be a challenge, but I wonder if living your faith at work is always a good option for you. If working and living your faith with integrity, kindness, and a listening ear to your colleagues makes so much difference in the world. Colossians 3:17 says, "And whatever you do, whether it be in word or in deed, do it in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, giving thanks to God the Father through him." So whether you're selling carpet or working on computers or parenting little ones or running a corporation, one of the best ways you can share your faith is to give thanks to God for the opportunity that you have to even do that work. Even if it's not ideal work, God can work through you in all circumstances and in all things. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for the Daily Dose. If you're joining us on Facebook or YouTube, I want to invite you to share or subscribe. If you're joining us on cable access, I'm so honored that you are here with me today. I hope to see you again soon.